But like if you go off of the way people are disappointed that Kamala Harris lost, but then a lot of people were just wondering like, how is that possible? How is it possible? And I'm thinking like, well, because maybe on social media you saw like all this momentum and things like that, but like to be honest, it was a long shot for her to win, right? She only been running this race for a couple months. She's only been running this race, what, maybe 3 months total, 3.5 months, if that. That's really not enough time to kind of gain that momentum and to really make headway, especially when you're relying on donors and money and things like that. Like she did a good job for, I think she ran a good race for the time that she had, but I think it in some ways I'm willing to say or willing to think that like I don't want to say misogyny, but like there are a lot of people that just ain't ready to see a woman in charge, right? Is it racism necessarily? I don't think that I think that we did have a black president in charge, and then like I don't think that people are, you know, racing to get another black person to be in charge. But then you add that it's a black woman. I don't think that sells for a lot of people. I think I think maybe implicitly there might be white women that might feel like, "Ugh," like I should be in that spot before her, or we should be in those spots before her. I mean, because it's almost like we just kind of skipped, like we skipped white women all together, even we got a black man in there before that. So I think it was a long shot for her in the long run. It was like, oh, we're gonna lower costs and build houses. Okay, like but like what's the plan, right? Donald Trump at least had a plan. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna kind of dig into some things that had to do with the election. So when it comes to voting and how people voted in terms of demographics, right? In terms of demographics, we're gonna go by gender. It says gender by race, and then who voted for Harris versus who voted for Trump, right? So again, we can't just also remember when we're saying these demographics, we're talking about these people in terms of voters. We're not talking about people as a whole, right? 'Cause I'm not gonna say 34% of white men. No, 34% of like white male voters because 30% of all, whatever percentage of all white men did not necessarily vote. Let's dig into some of these demographics that we got here. So, white men. So that's the first category that we're gonna go over. All right. Of white men, white male voters, right? 39% of white male voters voted for Kamala Harris. 59% of white male voters voted for Donald Trump, which is to be expected for like and it's no and this is not that's not a knock to white men at all. Like it's to be expected. Like white men is we're gonna vote for Donald Trump, right? The demographic that held Kamala down, and it was to be expected that will hold her down, is black women. 92% of black female voters voted for Kamala Harris. And they don't even put the number, but we can assume it's 8%, but it might be closer to like 6 or 7% of black female voters voted for Trump, right? So like it's a clear landslide for real in terms of voting numbers. Like, you can't just make up 7 million votes out of nowhere. Like those can't come out of thin air. But I would say that the Democratic Party that they're gonna be the ones that kind of show like a lot of restraint in the sense of they're not gonna be on some like, oh, it was a lot of cheating going on. Like I don't think you're gonna hear that type of stuff. Not gonna hear about rigged elections or anything like that. And Kamala is trying to ensure that there is going to be a peaceful transfer of power, mostly from the Biden administration to the new Trump administration. So we'll see.